Where am I?
Oh my gosh. It's an episode I can say whatever I want. Nobody's here. Nobody's here to tell me to shut the frick up. And that's what's important. That's what we need in today's society, is less people telling you to shut the frick up. Because that's honestly the cause and solution to all of life's problems. If you have a bad idea, someone should tell you to shut the fuck up. But if it's a good idea, then if you do shut the fuck up, that's a strike. That's 1 star in Grand Theft Auto 3, I'll say. Not Vice City, not San Andreas, but 3. That the one that nobody really remembers, unless you do. So it's just me. Coach has anything. I could say anything. He's not here to tell me I'm wrong. He could have gonorrhea of the throat. And not that there's anything wrong with that. You could have that. It's fine. You're allowed. You could have crabs, but only on your eyebrows. You could have taint rosacea, which is rosacea, but only on your taint. Tis rosacea, if you think about it. And that's kind of where we're at. He legally, to be frank, to get the legal ramifications out of the way, so I don't get sued into oblivion for slander, for libel, put into a defamation case, where if me and Coach were in a defamation trial, and it was like being broadcast on TikTok, there would be supercuts of him kind of owning me, I think. But much like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, I would be winning. But TikTok would think otherwise. But to get all that out of the way, to make sure that doesn't happen legally, I have to say that Coach does have COVID-19. But only in the brain. I got it in my lungs a few months ago. Coach got it in the brain, so he's going to come back. His brain's going to be a little not poggers, if you will. A little bit on the slow side. He might lose all of his sharpening, is my understanding. So it's just me. I'm just going to do a quick little ramble, figure out what's what, who's how, and all that jazz. I don't have anything to say, is the thing. I wasn't planning on doing a solo episode, so I have no thoughts and opinions and feelings about anything. If I knew, I might have turned my brain on a little bit this week, but my brain's mostly been off, as usual. And it keeps it safe. Like, you know, when your car, if you leave your car on all the time, that's bad for the alternator or the quantum drive. I don't know anything about cars. I've never seen a car in person. But, alas, we ball. Frick it, we move. Yeah, much like if you leave your car on all the time, it's going to affect the belts, the calipers, the Novocaine, the steering wheel, the fluid juices. So I turn my brain off most of the time, and then I only turn it on, stick the key in my temple, and turn the ignition for this podcast. And I think that's the way to do it. I think that if you if you think too much all the time forever, you might overheat your brain. And when it overheats, you turn into a Republican. Yeah, that's my take. I think you turn into a Republican if you think too much all the time. And that's kind of where I'm at. Personally, I think that that's the case, and it's always been that way since the dawn of time, since the land before time, since the time before land, when Earth was just water. You know how people are like, as a baby, you used to be like a single cell at one point, theoretically. At one point, Earth was a single cell, if you think about it. A medium amount. Too hard, you're not going to believe it. Too little, you're not going to believe it. You got to, right in the Goldilocks zone of thought, you'll be like, yeah, Earth was a single cell, and that single cell was 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. And that's a BBC fact. That's a little bit of biology class, chemistry class, general sciences. All the things that you want it to be true, for example, it is. If you want it to be true, it is. And if you don't want it to be true, it still is. That's how science works. Thanks a lot. Ricky Gervais taught me that. What an idiot, by the way. Like, just an absolute toolbox extraordinary. Every time I see anything about him, he's always just saying, like, get this. Fuck babies. Oh, I'm sorry, did I offend you? Are you offended by that? Little bitch. You're a little bitch. Did you know God's not real? Did you know that tea and crumpets? Did you know that God's not real? Oh, I'm sorry, are you offended? I think babies should die. Do you know God's not real? Oh, you're a bitch. You know transgender people shouldn't have rights, and that's funny because God's not real. And then if you say, you're bad at your job, then you get shot by the government. Joe Biden himself teams up with Boris Johnson. I start calling Boris Johnson the leader of the free world and see what happens. I don't talk about Boris Johnson ever, so it's probably not going to come up for quite a while. But next time I talk about Boris Johnson, I'm going to say, the leader of the free world, when he got COVID that one time, and people are going to be like, no. And they'll be like, yeah, he did. And then his hair was all fucked up, and everyone's like, yeah, it's not the leader of the free world anymore. I'm like, oh, he's still in power. Think about it. And then people are going to think that I think that Donald Trump is still president, when in reality I know that Boris Johnson is still president. I don't even know what this bit is. I have nothing to say, so what I'm going to do, in a strange twist of fate, in a just a move never seen before, never conceived of before, I'm going to explain the history and the story behind Alligator Man. I'm doing it. The bit has gone on long enough, and I think it's fun to do Alligator Man on a solo episode. That's the way to do it. Because I know everyone's clamoring for it. So, I mean, I've had this article bookmarked for a decade at this point. And it's a long, complicated story, as I've said many times. So basically, this guy, Joe Ball, pretty sick name. Pretty sick Joe Ball. He was on the loose, right? And he killed 20 women, and then he fed their bodies to alligators. And then the media was like, yo, this dude's alligator man. That's kind of it, actually. Now that I think about it, it's kind of the end of the story. They called him Alligator Man, but his name was Joe Ball. So think about that. Give that a little a swish around your brain. Like if that was Listerine and your brain was your mouth, just do that. Do a little. That's what it sounds like. And see if you get anything out of that story that I didn't. And if you did, write in badboycrimespod@gmail.com. Let us know what you got out of it. If that shook you to your core, if it taught you something, if it reminded you, if you're reminiscing about your own childhood experiences or your own adult experiences. If you've been eaten by an alligator, if you've been murdered by a serial killer, if you are a serial killer with a pet alligator, anything in that realm, in that region, let us know. Write in. Put it in writing. Officiate it. Get it notarized. I'll pay for the notary. Send me the receipts. I'll reimburse you. I'll do it. It's okay. Just get an email of you admitting to serial murder, notarized. I'll pay the $20 fee or whatever it is. I don't mind. That's the kind of investment that I am willing to put forth for this podcast. And that's why we get paid the big bucks. Because we put in the effort. You know, we don't take days off. Except Coach, who's taking a day off right now. But, not both of us. Think about it. One of us is always here, except when we're not. Like Christmas time, we might just fall off the face of the earth. But that's Christmas. You gotta bless up to young JC. Let him know that on his birthday, we don't discuss crime. We don't discuss the negativity of the world. We don't discuss the disaster that is humanity, that he created. We talk about the good things. And in that sense, we don't put out an episode for 2 weeks. Because we're only talking about the good things. JC, by the way, that's me doing an exclamation. Jesus Christ, it has been only 13 minutes. And I ran out of things to say 7 minutes ago, at best, if not earlier. So what I'm going to do is ramble a little bit more and cut this episode early. And we're going to see what that little bit turns into. Maybe it'll be 40 minutes. And this will be like a mostly normal episode. But most likely, it won't be. I'm gonna shout out, join Coach's Minecraft server, his realm. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not a fan of children's video games. But it exists. That's fine. I'm not gonna do anything about it. And I'm sure he would love if you joined. Built a cafe, a farm, a windmill, a life-size sculpture of Jeff Bezos to just assassinate within Minecraft. Or Elon Musk, or, get this, me. I think Coach would love to shoot with a Minecraft gun me in Minecraft. I think he would love that. And this podcast is really all about doing what Coach loves, podcasting. It's his number one hobby as far as I know, other than Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Twice, the Japanese-Korean pop band, who I'm sure you've heard a lot about. Anything else on the docket today? Not really. I had a bunch of opening bits planned, but I forgot them all as I went on a fancy date today. Went to mini golf. We drove like an hour away to go to a mini golf course, me and my wife, outdoors, and it was a fun time. You gotta love mini golf. I wanted to do a bit where I call mini golf golf, and then I call regular golf big golf, but like it's just confusing and annoying, so I didn't do that, but could have done that. Yeah, you should go on a date to mini putt, to putt, to regular size golf. It's truly one of God's greatest creations. It's just, you're hitting a thing and you're like, wow, this is so much smaller than other people's experiences. And that's how I feel about friend of the cast, Ethan. Check out his EP, Extrovert Recluse, streaming now on all platforms. He's short. He's shorter than me. So therefore, when I think about him, I'm like, wow, he's just like me, except all of his experiences are smaller. And you might think, wouldn't they be bigger? But I didn't think about that when I said the bit originally. So, why don't you shut your fat face if you want to correct me? Because this is a solo episode. As stated, no one's allowed to tell me to shut the fuck up. Not even you. Post-uploading this to yourself in your car, in your headphones on your walk through a shady back alley. You can't tell me to shut the fuck up. It's not allowed. It's flat out not allowed. If you are listening to this right now and you say, well, I'm going to say shut the fuck up, and then you say shut the fuck up out loud to yourself, that's just saying it to you. And you think it before you say it, so you can't actually say it. Unless I'm in the room with you while we're both listening to this recording, then I guess you could tell me to shut the fuck up, but this recording's not going to stop. So unless you stop it immediately after you say it, but then it's like, what are you doing? What message are you sending? That you're telling a human being in person to shut the fuck up? And like if I go to a rock concert, if I go see Nickelback in concert, and I talk to Chad Kroeger, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude, and then I cut the power to the building, kind of sus. Even though that's live, that's not really the point that I was getting at originally. Don't think too hard. That's the motto of the show. If you think too hard, bad things will happen. It's like that episode of Stranger Things. You know that episode? That one where if you think too much, the world explodes? It's kind of like that episode. Spoiler alert for season 12. Did you guys know, some of you know, within the last month, our presence in India has had a bit of an uptick. And Ireland. So if you're from India or Ireland listening to this show, Shout out to you. Countries that start with I. Indonesia. No downloads in Indonesia, but in case we get one, shout out Indonesia. Shout out India. Shout out Ireland. Shout out Iceland. We don't have any Iceland downloads, but again, if we get one, shout out, dude. Love Iceland. Truly one of the greatest countries. You get ice and volcanoes and fjords and gnomes and mountains. Mountains and fjords and ice and volcanoes. It's the best of every world that I could think of. Their prime minister's a woman. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I support women in politics. Or, alternatively, I don't, because I don't support anybody in politics. But in theory, I support women in politics. Like, you should be running a country or a company. You could be a CEO. I think a woman should be CEO of Tesla. Like, you finish a 12-hour shift just absolutely running a country, and then you just get railed to your heart's content afterwards. It's a long weekend. You don't need to worry about staying up late or any other repercussions, because you don't need to wake up early. You're also, like, you're kind of a big deal. So just chill out. You can be late sometimes. Like, as we found out recently as in like the past 20 years, you don't need to do anything that people expect from you, and nothing bad will happen. Look at the police, look at the president, look at me. I'm doing a terrible podcast, but nothing bad's gonna happen. So, if you think about it, don't give into expectations. What you should do is live your best life, and if something bad happens, stop living your best life and fix it, I guess. But until something bad happens, you're living your best life. And that's sort of the official stance of Bad Boy Crimes, is you can't always get what you want unless you get it. If you get it, like, you can always get what you want if you put an asterisk, and it's really just like sometimes, like, you do a little footnote, you can sometimes get what you want. And then it's true. So, fuck you, Keith Richards. Keith Moon. Who is it? It's Keith Richards. It's Mick Jagger. It's one of them. It's one of those. One of those old dudes who should have died 17 years ago. But I stand people who don't die. I admire their grit, their wherewithal, their know-how to continue living. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know really what's going on, or why I'm here, or when I'm here. If you could go to any time in history, not the future, because the future is like, it's not actually real. The future's not going to happen. Like, you could go 3 years into the future, I guess, but what's the point? Yeah, you got to go back in time, but caveat is racism doesn't exist, or sexism, or caveat, you get to appear. You don't actually switch. It's not like a transition thing, but you get to appear to other people as a straight white man. Therefore, you can go to any time period and nothing bad will happen. That's also why you can't go to the future, because in the future, straight white men are not going to have it that good, which, like, it's been a while. It's a long time coming. But if you go to the future, you may die a violent death. And that's good. That's how it should be. I don't know. If you could do that, what would you do, I guess? Write in. Let the people know. Vote now on your phones. I would personally... I would go to, like, the prehistoric era. Is that when cavemen were? I don't think so. Cavemen didn't exist with dinosaurs, but, like, you kind of always imagine that they did. Because a lot of animals that existed at the time, they weren't legally dinosaurs, but, like, they're dinosaurs, right? Like a woolly mammoth, that's a dinosaur. The giant squid, that's a dinosaur. Alligator, that's a dinosaur. Marsupials, they're all dinosaurs. The giant sloth, that's a dinosaur. Yeah, they were all around at the same time. I would go to then with the cavemen, and I would see them doing, like, stick figures on the wall because they just want to be remembered. There's only, like, 3 ways to be remembered, is to not be, to have children, or to do something. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, a lot of people have kids just to pass on their family name, to give the future a little memory of what it was like when you were around. Because all you have are memories of what Earth was like while you were around, but the Earth doesn't have any memories of you until you have kids. So people do that, or they'll do something to radically affect the world and get put into a textbook. Which I think kind of sucks, because yeah, like, it seems cool, but look at Genghis Khan, for example. He patrolled the earth, just murdering, raping, pillaging, with his crew, of course. He had so many sexual partners give birth to his offspring that, like, his DNA is in, like, 0.3% of the Earth's population, which, not a big number, but, like, that's crazy to have, like, one descendant like that. So that's weird. And then he also killed enough people to lower the temperature of the Earth because of body heat and, like, carbon footprint stuff. And your carbon footprint in, like, the year 900 or whenever it was, it's gotta be basically nothing. Right? So, to kill that many people to lower the temperature of the Earth, you have to imagine that's a lot of people. That's that's one of the biggest impacts in history. As this individual person, he didn't individually do all of it, but he gets credit for all of it. Because nobody knows the name of anyone in his crew, his squad. So to do all of that, and now he's just like, he's literally like 8 sentences in history class in 10th grade. Like, it's nothing. Your impact means nothing. Having children means nothing because 2 generations later, they don't know you. They don't remember. I don't know, maybe 4 at the very most. You know, once you're looking at grandkids, if you die before your grandkids are born, you're done. You're gone. Your memory's over. But, like, you might get grandkids, and then if you get grandkids, they'll tell stories to their kids. And, like, that's kind of your best case scenario. is people 70 years later might know your name, but they might just be like, Grandpappy, you know? That's kind of the best case scenario with kids, and best case scenario with impact on Earth is you'll be talked about in a history classroom in a negative way. And that's kind of it. So I don't think being remembered is a valid way to look at life. I don't think that you should go into life being like, they're going to remember me. Because they won't. Nothing matters. So just try to be good to people. Anyway, back to the main point. I got distracted. I would go back to caveman times, and they would be drawing little stick figures, and they'd be like, look at this. Here's me. These 3 lines represent me. And then here's like a water buffalo that I'm gonna fucking bop him on the head and then eat him. Just eat raw buffalo until I die. And then he's gonna be dead in his like little community of cave people. And then they're gonna be like, oh shoot, he's dead. R.I.P. I guess. And then they're not going to do anything, and then his dead body is going to attract all these maggots and flies and diseases, and then they're going to die because they catch the disease, because like in a way death is contagious. And so while they're doing that, I'm not like a great artist, but I would draw something that shouldn't be there and is much higher quality. Like I'm not a great artist, but I could outdo some cave drawings, right? Just do like I'll draw a giant squid to scale. Or what if I drew Bigfoot? I gotta bring a permanent marker. What if the sun exploded, burnt all of Earth, it's gone, and then just floating around in space are all the permanent markers that have ever existed? Think about it. Yeah, I would do like a sick-ass drawing. I can't draw a lot. I could draw an okay duck. I can do a jellyfish. I can do a bad fish. That's about it. But comparative to these stick drawings and like they don't even know what circles are. All the stick drawings are like they got a triangle head. Maybe they actually had triangle heads. I never consider that. Like, there's a lot of human evolution, right? And we can go back in the evolutionary timeline and see that, like humans used to have 3 fingers, or our brows were larger, or we used our appendix for something. We can go back in the timeline and figure out different things. The way like our heights have adapted, or our eyes perhaps have adapted to different frequencies of light. Who's to say? But maybe in cave people times, everyone's head was a triangle. Maybe everyone was 2D. Maybe maybe that was like a hyper-realistic drawing at the time. It was just, you were 3 lines with a triangle on top. I don't know. It's not for me to say. I'm not an art minor, like my close personal friend Coach, who is dying right now of syphilis. To be determined. Who's to say? not financial advice. I just like the disease. It's an infection. Relax. I corrected myself. You don't get to tell me to shut the fuck up. So that's what's going on. I would do that, and then when I come back to modern day, I guess no one would really care, but it would be like a BuzzFeed article. So like weird cave drawings found in Namibia, found in Nairobi, found in Norway. I don't know where I would go, but it would start with an N. And I would be there. I would do a sick ass drawing. Maybe I would teach. I think I might invent the skateboard. Another thing about time travel, if you think about like with your current set of skills, with your current knowledge, how far back in time would you have to go to be like the Tesla of that time, the Thomas Edison, the Da Vinci? Like, because I can't do anything. You ask me to invent like a match, can't do it. A lighter, can't do it. Science, don't know anything. A camera, couldn't figure it out. Bread, I don't know. They figured out bread probably pretty early on. I couldn't teach them. So like, I would have to go back real early in humanity's timeline to be like, whoa, that dude's real smart. So if I go to Cave People Times and I invent a skateboard, which I think I could do, I think I could figure it out. It's not going to be a great skateboard. It's not going to work well on their non-paved roads. But I could probably invent the concept of police. Just like, whoever is the biggest hunter, I just be like, hey, if you kill people, that's fine. And then I invented the police force, and that's ahead of its time. I could invent the president. Again, just go to the best hunter with the biggest weapon and be like, you're the president. If you kill people, nothing bad happens. I could invent American Idol. Vote now on your phones if that would be a good idea. I could invent concepts, I guess. Just steal TV show ideas. So if I go to like the 1930s, I could be like the best TV show writer of all time. Just like from my half-remembered scripts of a Chuck Lorre show. Just doing like 2.5 Men, but it's 1930s, and the kid is played by a 17-year-old in blackface, and the dad is played by Charlie Sheen, who has never aged since 1812 when he was born. Yeah, I could do that. I could invent Frasier, or what would be a good show to invent early on? What if I invented the concept of like full-length feature films, and I made Crazy Rich Asians, but in 1942 during the war? That might be sick. I don't know if Awkwafina would be around to take the role, but she killed it. So probably I would find the 1940s equivalent of Awkwafina. Audrey Hepburn, Rita Hayworth, Betty Davis, one of those. Eartha Kitt, I don't know who that is. Just find one of those, stick them in Crazy Rich Asians, see how that works out. Or maybe I could invent rap music. Just like teach people to do trap drums. Like, get Elvis's producer, just be like, hit the hi-hat really fast and see what happens. And then maybe I would have to get like 2 guys with a hi-hat each, or the same one, and then get them to do it a little bit off from each other. Then the trap hi-hat, that would be pretty sick. I'm sure that would transcend music at the time. Yeah, I can't really come up with it. I can only invent concepts, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have ideas all the time, especially back in the day when ideas were so easy. Like, if I go back to the 1700s, and I'm like, what if you did light bulbs? They'd be like, yeah, obviously light bulbs, but how? And then I'm like, oh yeah, you got me. What if you did cars? And they'd be like, yeah, but how? And I'm like, oh, gasoline? And they're like, okay, how do you get to it? Alright, what about Batman? And they're like, okay, I'm listening, I'm hearing, I'm on board. And then I forget to tell them about the Joker, and they don't do it. Because really the best part about Batman is the Joker. I don't know why no one's done a movie about the Joker, but they should. That's enough. What am I doing? This is Hogwarts, hogwash, malarkey. This is bad. And so I'm gonna stop it from being bad by stopping it from existing. And then I'm gonna put it out to the public. And everyone's gonna be like, wow, I wish you just didn't make an episode this week. But it's too late. You've already listened. You could have just not listened. And that's on you. This whole podcast is your fault. If you don't like it, that's by design. Alright, that's enough of this. Goodbye, everybody.